Josh Sexton, good morning, happy Monday. So when Monday, Wednesday, I don't know what day it is. I'm still getting, it's the bins, Josh, the bins are all over the place. The bins used to be Tuesday, they're now Thursday. I don't know, Josh, help me out. How are you? I like your top.
I'm sound, thank you. Yeah, it's a nice top, isn't it? It's what I wore to the Champions League final in Kiev as well. So it holds a bit of a special place in my heart from Shevchenko Park and those kind of days.
Yeah, I know, I thought I'd seen it before, absolutely. Yeah, it's an Egypt top. So let's start on AFCON because it's a funny one, I think, for Liverpool fans. You know, I think obviously it's not coming at an ideal time. Liverpool struggled a little bit over Christmas, and then to lose, three top players, especially Mo Salah, the top goal scorer, was a difficult one. So I think your initial sort of selfish thing is, I hope they come back as soon as possible. But I don't know about you, but now they've got out there, like, I want them to do well. And I was made up when Sadio Mane scored that last minute pen. I was pleased that Naby Keita got man of the match. And then I was a bit gutted for Mo yesterday when he got beat.
Yeah, I think you sort of underestimate with international football. Probably consistently, we do it as Liverpool fans, just how important it is to these players to be playing for their countries. And I think particularly the lads from Africa, because there's so much sort of relying on them. You think about Mo Salah and how much of a hero he is in Egypt. He's pretty much the poster boy for hope of an entire nation. And I think that always shows, every time he goes away to Egypt, just how happy he is to be there, how happy he is to sort of be in and around his mates. You saw him, messing around on the plane with Mohamed Trezeguet, the Aston Villa player who'd sort of done a big dive in the Premier League just a couple of days before. But then, you see Mane as well recording little messages, sending them to Naby Keita and Mo Salah and sort of saying, look, I can't play two teams in the final, but I wish you both all the best. And you just see how much it means to them. And that's nice, to be honest. And it's sort of a bit of a reminder that we as much as we want to prioritise club football and we don't want these players to be playing too many games, and there's obviously a big conversation to have around that. These international tournaments do serve a purpose, and there'll be loads of young kids in Africa and in the different countries who are sort of watching Mo Salah, Sadio Mane and Naby Keita at this tournament and thinking, because they've done it, I can do it one day as well. And that's a massively important thing, because that's what football's all about ultimately.
Yeah, exactly. Inspiring others and, being a role model within their community. And I think as well, seeing the celebration of their culture as well has been really nice. And we've seen Sadio Mane, when he landed, there was music and dancing, and he was just enjoying himself so much. Quite a lot of what he seemed to do is a sort of traditional address around certain meals and things like that. And that must be really nice for him, because obviously, someone like Mo Salah, he loves Liverpool. He obviously loves the area. He loves living here. He said so much in interviews and things that he wants to stay. So, he's acclimatized here. He loves it. And obviously he's been living in Europe for a long time now, but it must be nice to him to be with people who, from a similar background to him, to meet up with guys who've had similar sort of, experiences growing up as him, really, and to have that bond that they have between them.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And I think you always see whenever Sadio Mane is like spotted around Merseyside, don't you? Whether he's in, the speakers there in his full dress, as you say, or whether he's down like helping out at local mosques and that sort of thing. And I think, as you say, it's so important for them to be sort of ingratiated in their own culture and be around their own people sometimes as well. And I think that's one of the nice things that sort of comes out of all this is that they get that chance to do that and also to represent their country. And as I said before, give hope to millions, but also, Sadio Mane and Naby Keita and Mo Salah will know that they're playing for something here. They're playing for something which is massively important to their countries and their nations to go over to Cameroon and be able to, go far in this tournament and potentially win it. If I think, I was going to say if you Sadio Mane, because I think Senegal have probably got the best chance of the three of them.
Yeah, look, a good team. Egypt lost yesterday. It's probably their toughest game in the group. Well, it is their toughest game in the group. I watched the other two teams last night, and they're not, of the standard of Cameroon are. So you feel like they got the toughest one out the way. So they still should go through. But obviously they need to get the results. But saying that I want them to do well, I did see a tweet last night or this morning, Josh, that made me smile. That pointed out that Egypt's last group game is the night before the second leg against Arsenal. So the idea of if they do go out flying him back and just having him on the bench just for a bit of needle does appeal to me as well. I would love Mo to do well, but I love the needle as well, and that would amuse me greatly. Just not even copying him on, but just have him there.
No, absolutely all about the needle on you, and I'd love to, be a penny for the thoughts of any Arsenal player who's playing against, players like Bobby Firmino and Diogo Jota and thinking like, oh, these lads are actually really good when you're up
Yeah.
close to them on the pitch, and then you look on the bench and there's the best player in the world. I'd be all for that, to be honest.
Yeah, so it's win-win. Yeah, either get them back early or they have a brilliant tournament, enjoy themselves, and come back refreshed. So yeah, best of luck to them, and yeah, hope the tournament goes well. I've not watched a huge amount. I'm probably waiting to the knockouts, but I did watch a little bit of that game last night. But there's lots of Liverpool games to focus on at the moment, and that's the thing, Josh, isn't it? Including tomorrow night. You host the team talk, which is our main audio preview, which will be at the press conference. Press conference is at 1:00. Today. It's going to be an interesting one, I think, today, Josh. There's a lot to ask him about. I'm sure he'll be asked about Mo Salah and the interview with GQ, which he'll bat away. He'll probably be asked as well about his comments around these false positives, and something that he said in a post-match interview that he didn't necessarily have to, and has caused a bit of a furor. So I think that's something, obviously, that he's going to be asked about as well, along with all the other stuff around availability and everything. So it should be an interesting one today.
Yeah, you mentioned about him batting away those GQ Salah comments. He tends to bat away most things, to be honest. He doesn't tend to have much time for the journalists. I mean, sometimes he comes in a nice mood and will sort of say hello and how are you on every question. But generally, I think Jurgen sort of sees these as a bit of a performance almost, and doesn't really have much time for performing in that sense. And I think today it'll be much the same, because there's going to be some sort of tougher, or at least questions that he doesn't really want to face, like you say, around the false positives and the idea that the EFL nearly investigated based off the fact that a few clubs had kicked up a bit of a fuss and things like that. And I don't think Jurgen Klopp will like that, because I think he likes to think that everybody is broadly trying to at least sing from the same hymn sheet, and it's the governing bodies against the teams and that kind of thing, and trying to look after the footballers. But I think time and again now there's other clubs, particularly in the Premier League, who are showing themselves to be completely self-serving when it comes to the welfare of players, and it really frustrates him. I think it's frustrating around the 5 subs thing. It's frustrating around a few other sort of potential rule changes that have happened since the sort of pandemic started. So I think you'll see more of that today. You'll see more of that frustration coming out of him, and I just hope that he's just as articulate as he can usually be when he is that frustrating, because it makes for a better show for us.
Yeah, absolutely. He'll have had plenty of time to prepare for today. He knows what's coming. He's had a couple of days, to have a little look at the GQ interview himself. I'm sure he's buzzing off Mo's gear, same as everyone else, and so he'll have had a bit of time, and he'll be aware that the storm that the false positive things has caused, and obviously the fact that apparently a few clubs were too happy about it. So he will be sort of well prepared. So I think it's really going to be interesting what he says about it, and also interesting how seriously it looks like we're going to be taking this competition from now on, because a lot said, Josh, about Jurgen Klopp's attitude, if you like, to domestic cups, and whether you agree with that or not, and whether you agree it's been more circumstance and look of the draw really than sort of focus, why we haven't got to more sort of semi-finals and finals of the domestic cups. I mean, that's sort of by the by for now. The fact is we are in the semi-final of this one. It'll be interesting to see how he talks about it, and how seriously, when you look at his eyes, it feels like he's taking it.
Yeah, I think there's always been a bit of weirdness around Klopp and these tournaments, hasn't there? And it dates back to probably his second season. Obviously, he gets to the League Cup final in his first season. I know it's not his first full season. And in his first full season, he maybe does go a little bit weak in some games. Like I think I seem to remember us playing Plymouth that season and him going really weak, and Lucas Leiva scoring away from home and that kind of thing.
Well, that was a replay. We
Yeah.
drew at home, and because that was the game. I know this because that was the game I went to see. So the season I went to every game, and yeah, Neil laughing his head off at me when he realised I was had to schlep down to Plymouth on a Wednesday night. But anyway, enough about me.
But I think the weirdness dates back to then, doesn't it? Because I seem to remember there being a few of, particularly the sort of BBC lads, the Gary Linekers and Alan Shearers around that season, coming out and just taking a bit of a swipe at Jurgen Klopp and probably a couple of foreign managers in general, and the way that they treat these tournaments. But ultimately, I don't know if it's circumstance, but Jurgen Klopp from day one has not been happy with the way that the schedule is in England. He's not been happy with the amount of extra games. And there was someone from another governing body in another country kicking up a bit of a fuss the other day, saying that England is probably one of the only countries in the world now who have 2 domestic cups. It's a bit of an old-fashioned sort of format, and most other countries now, particularly since the pandemic started, have gone down to just one domestic cup. So I think you sort of seeing that manifesting a bit in the way that it's been treated this season by other clubs in particular. It's obviously a thing that was sort of started by the press, but has become a bit of a wider thing now that Liverpool don't treat these tournaments with respect. When, you know, as I mentioned before, Jurgen Klopp got to the final in his first season. He's got to semi-final now, and I think you're seeing that it is, you know, circumstance in a positive way for Liverpool, that we've got a dead strong squad now. We've got a load of young lads who are really hungry and want to fight for this and want to get Liverpool to these finals. And I do expect him to go stronger. It was interesting that Quivy and Kelleher was on the sort of match day graphic that the club
I
did,
saw
think.
that. Yeah.
Maybe teasing a sort of little bit there, or maybe just going for the needle. Who knows? Because we all love the needle, don't we?
Yeah, and I saw the Kelleher one this morning. I thought, that's quite interesting. I mean, he's one that will be interested to see if he gets the nod, because he's played every round so far. Josh, I'm not sure if it'll be something that Jurgen's asked about on this, but he has played every round, and obviously he's the hero in the shootout as well in the quarterfinals. So I would like to see him given a go, and you know, we're certainly in the semi, and then hopefully there'll be a decision to make in the final as well.
Yeah, I think there's obviously a few people who want to see us go basically as strong as we possibly can, and that obviously includes bringing Alisson Becker back in because he's the best goalkeeper in the world. But I'm sort of the mind that Jurgen Klopp will stick with Quivy and Kelleher. I think he's done enough to deserve that. I think maybe the only decision for Klopp comes into the fact that Alisson will have no rhythm, but I don't know how much he values rhythm in sort of goalkeepers, because, you know, Quivy and Kelleher has played a few games in a row now, so I just wonder whether that may come into Jurgen Klopp's thinking. But I would expect him to go with Kelleher again. I'd expect him to, you know, as you say, reward him for the past few performances he's had, but also reward him for the fact that he's been our goalkeeper in every round of this tournament so far, and he's done absolutely nothing, you know, to harm his chance of going again. And, you know, as you mentioned, he was the penalty shootout here. I think Jurgen Klopp would like to think that there would be some reward for that, and the reward would be that he starts in a League Cup semi-final.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. As I said there, Josh will be doing the team talk straight after the press conference today at 1:00. So if you're subscribing to audio, you can listen to that. Also, if you're an audio subscriber, you'll get our transfer show today, The Gutter, that's been recorded at 11 a.m. With Rob Gutman hosting. I'm on that, really looking forward to seeing who Rob's got to throw at us this morning in terms of links. I also did a Talking Transfers show yesterday with Paul Gorst, so our video subscribers could enjoy me speaking to Paul Gorst from the Liverpool Echo, just getting his rundown on the potential ins and outs and likelihoods of a few moves that are being talked about in the press at the moment. So if you're into your transfers, make sure you subscribe and to us on audio and video for those shows. But one person who definitely won't be joining this January is Phil Coutinho. Josh, he's been unveiled. It was slightly strange for me to see him in a Villa shirt. I'm not going to lie. It's always that. I mean, it feels like, I don't know, the Premier League, I don't know, it must be like a motel for you, just full of exes.
It is sort of getting that way, isn't it? And obviously there could even potentially be more. I've seen Gini Wijnaldum being linked with a move to Newcastle, because obviously he's not having the best time at PSG and stuff. And I think there's a bit of a tale in that, isn't there? There's a bit of a tale in Gini Wijnaldum and how things have gone for him, and in Phil Coutinho and sort of his career since leaving Liverpool, because of, you know, Dan Morgan, who writes a Friday column for our website, mentioned it, that, you know, Philip Coutinho may have won honours since he left Liverpool, but he lost a home. And I think that's such a crucial thing that people probably don't think about, because, you know, football ultimately is a business and it is a job for these players. But Phil Coutinho was so loved at Liverpool, and then since, I don't think he's truly been sort of loved anywhere else. He had that loan spell at Bayern Munich where I think the fans probably took to him a little bit more than maybe they had done at Barcelona, but he still didn't sort of have the best time there. So I'll be interested to see how he does at Villa. I obviously wish him all the best, and I hope that the Villa fans do take to him, because I think he deserves to sort of have that home again. He deserves to, you know, find a bit of a revival in his career now. And as I say, I hope he does that. I think he's probably been a little bit gone mentally in the past few years in terms of football, and I think that showed in a few of his performances, because he just has had a bit of a tougher time of it. So I hope that he can fight through that now, and I hope that he can come out the other side of it and you know, boy Steven Gerrard's Aston Villa.
We shall see. We shall see indeed. But as I say, much more on transfers, and of course the build up to this Arsenal semi-final on the Anfield Wrap. So make sure you're subscribing. Also, a shout out to the merch at the moment. Huge January sale going on. So if you want to go to the AnfieldWrap.com/shop to grab yourself a bargain, there's an extra 20% off everything, and quite a lot is already reduced as well. So there's a code on there to use for an extra 20% off. It's TOR20, I think it is, but it'll be on the top anyway. But yeah, thanks a lot to Josh. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you're looking forward to Thursday night. And yeah, up the Reds. Nice one.